When listing your home, here are the 5 things you do not want to do. Lesson number 1, don't wing it.
Correct. You want to be prepared and have a strategy going forward when you're getting your house ready. So, what is your timing? What is your marketing plan that you plan on doing? Don't tear out or rebuild the whole new deck. Unnecessary large repairs can be kind of a big downfall in that, when you run into that.
One of the biggest things I see sellers doing during this time period is taking care of unnecessary repairs. They don't know exactly which things they should be prioritizing and which things they shouldn't be. And sometimes at a point, it gets to be too late where we get called in too late in the process and go, I just replaced all the concrete in our backyard. And like, you just spent $25,000 because you had a crack in your concrete, yet your carpet is in shambles and this house is painted green,
Or there's holes in doors, or
there is 100% a specific allocation of funds that should be done, right? And knowing which to do. Also on the timing part of things is going, what time of year are we going on? Is it going to happen this month? Should it happen next month? That is one of the biggest things, I think, when it comes to the mistakes I see sellers make. Number 2 is don't price your house wrong. You've heard this a million times, I think, from real estate agents, but I think specifically when you're talking with a seller and they're looking at doing a high price, what are the couple of things that they think is going to happen with that?
A lot of times sellers still believe that if I price, I have room to come down. And buyers are too educated now. They understand of if you're not getting activity or they just don't think it's priced right, they just aren't going to offer on it. They're going to go to the next one. They may love your house. You may be 10 grand high or $15,000 more than they're willing to pay. They're just going to say, I don't like it for that price, so I'm out. The art of negotiation on some of this is almost went away a little bit. Of car prices are fixed now. Cell phone prices are fixed. There's home prices aren't. You can still negotiate, but most buyers, they're too educated. They understand what the pricing looks like.
The most important part of this too is getting that pricing correct at the beginning. Your most activity you're going to be getting is in those first 2 weeks or those first 3 weeks. If you miss that window where you're going to have the most activity with the wrong price, getting that activity back is nearly impossible. I mean, that's the biggest thing too of like, okay, well, what if we try at a higher price, for the first couple of weeks and then we'll adjust back down.
Right.
That adjustment is like you may have had 3 buyers that would have bought it at that price, but didn't offer because it wasn't at that price. I've had this case in point, with a big learning lesson of mine of like, I had one house that we were a little bit overpriced. I knew it. I think the sellers knew it too. And buyers wouldn't go see it. And literally we had a house that got listed down the street and I called the buyers of those houses, right? And I was like, hey, do you want to come see this house? And they're like, we've been watching that house for the last 6 months. We just didn't like the price. They came in and they ended up writing an offer on it and we ended up negotiating it and getting the terms on it. And it was just like, they knew about the house, but just didn't like the price. So they wouldn't even go see it, even though the seller was willing to negotiate to be able to get to it. So understanding that price can turn off people from even seeing the house and you can't get an offer unless somebody sees the house. So pricing it accordingly is really important. And your neighbor's opinion on the house doesn't matter. How many times have I had it where it's like, why'd you list your house at that? Your house is worth, $300,000 more than that. And it's like, all right, well, your neighbor should buy that house then, right? He could flip this thing real quick, right? I'll sell it to the neighbor. I'll list it to them for free if they're willing to buy it at that price, right? Is the person that's most important for pricing your house is the buyer.
Right.
Is the person that's writing that offer. Our opinions are just based off of what we think that buyer is going to do.
And based off from information that we can see as far as homes that have sold in the area and try to compare it out the best we can. But you're right. It's worth as much as the buyer's willing to pay for it.
Yeah. Number 3, don't be in a rush to list your property. The biggest time I always see this happening is when somebody has a house to sell and they're looking for a property and they're not prepped on the listing side. They go and buy a property contingent on the sale of their house. And now they have to get their house on the market, typically in Minnesota, within 3 days.
Right.
Getting your house prepped for photos and staged and cleaned and on the market in 3 days.
Nearly impossible.
You are not going to have the best looking product or house that it could be.
Or you're going to lose the magic of being when you first come on the market. You want to look at your best when you come on the market. That first, as you said, the first 2-3 weeks, but even that first couple of days is when that property's at the top of everybody's search list because it's brand new. And if you have cell phone photos or there's furniture misplaced, whatever it may be, if it's not looking at its best, you are going to lose in that situation. situation.
So if you're ever contingent upon the sale of your house, know exactly what your house is going to sell for, know the marketing strategy of it, know when it's going to come on, and have it prepped and ready. I think I won't let a buyer make an offer on a house until I have a net sheet in front of them. I go, hey, maybe I haven't seen your house. This is off, but I need you to get a good idea of what I think it might be, so you understand exactly how much cash you're probably going to take away to this next property. So there's nothing worse than when somebody buys that next property and they think their house is worth X amount of dollars and it's actually worth less than that.
Right.
That is a miserable conversation to be able to have, because then their payments are way higher than they expected them to be.
Right. If you're thinking of going out to look at a house, or, hey, I'm looking for that 1 in a million properties, and all of a sudden it comes out and you're not ready on the back end, sets you up for a bad situation.
For sure. Number 4, please, and I'm talking to agents right now, please do not use your cell phone for photography. It is 2025. You get paid enough. Hire a professional photographer. It is absurd how many times I'm doing market analysis these days. I'm like, these photos are terrible.
Yes.
Right? You have to have professional photography. Your buyer is going to see your property online. There's no way that they don't, essentially, right? They are going to decide whether or not they go and view your house and offer on your house based off of how those photos look.
When they come for the showing, that is just confirming what they've seen in the photos is actually an accurate description of what the house looks like. And cell phone photos do not do that. Regular camera photos don't do it. Hire a professional photographer to do it. Yeah.
You have no idea how many times we'll see a $700,000 plus property with terrible photos, and you're like, this is awful.
Yes.
Right? And I remember I've had clients specifically where we'll see a list of homes, right? And that will be at the bottom of our list. Like, this house just doesn't look good. And then we get there and it's like, this house is actually really nice.
The pictures didn't do it justice.
And the pictures were that bad. Now, don't get me wrong. There is a ton of times where the photos make the house look way better than it actually is. But on the listing side, I'd rather have that
correct
than the other way.
That is the job of, we got the buy. Our job is to get people there. And so we need to make the house look at its best light to get buyers in the door, because you never know.
Yeah. Number 5, don't decline showings or strict showing schedule. Or also, sellers, I don't think you need to be at the showing appointment with the buyer.
No, correct.
Right?
Yes. That is about the worst, most awkward situation, when you, as a buyer's agent, walk up to the door and the seller's there to answer the door for you, and you feel like you have no privacy and cannot have an open, casual conversation with your buyer about this house, because A, the seller's following you around. Also put your pets away, because that's
another thing.
How many cats I've chased outside because it ran out the door? That is not fun to do as you're trying to get through your schedule.
Or if you have a barking dog, right?
Yes.
Let the agent know, or have it in. You can have it showing time notes, right? So if I know that there's a dog there, but if I hear a dog barking and I open the door, I assume it's going to attack us.
Yep.
It's not real comfortable, and that not being comfortable and your buyer not being comfortable, it's hard to make a good decision.
Correct.
It really is.
Having that showing schedule can be difficult, because buyers do work overnight. They work, but schedules are so different. So you want to make sure you have as much availability to be able to show that house as possible.
Here's one that is a do that some people will say is a don't, but here's the strategy and how you take it, is an open house. Do you do an open house? A lot of sellers say, hey, I don't want nosy neighbors coming through here, or, it doesn't sell the property. It's just the agent marketing to get more leads, right? One, if a neighbor is going to come through here and they know somebody that wants to be in this neighborhood, or they get to choose their new neighbor.
Perfect.
I'll take them. Bring them through. We'll talk about how great the house is, how great the neighborhood is. Awesome. If I have a bunch of people coming through, right? But here's a strategy to take. Knowing that the first 14 days are the most important for activity, this is how we do it. If we do a coming soon 1 week before with professional photography, we're all prepped, staged, everything is looking great. 1 week before, we're marketing that as much as we possibly can to drive as much traffic as we can and funnel it in to the first weekend. We go live on a Friday. We do an open house on either Saturday or Sunday. The main reason that we do that is because somebody's agent may be out of town. They may be busy on that weekend. It gives them an easy opportunity to go, hey, there's an open house. You're interested in this property. Please go to it. That is your best chance to get competitive offers. And I don't know how many times we can say that we've had it where an open house with a buyer that had an agent that wasn't in town that came and wrote an offer, and that was the offer to push into multiple offers.
Yep.
We have a story legitimately from last year from Eric, right, where he did an open house and a buyer came through the open house because their agent was out of town. They wrote an offer. That offer ended up pushing the price of that house by $15,000. That open house literally was worth $15,000 to that seller.
And
they wouldn't have gotten that.
We just had that last week with Andrew. He did an open house for met the buyer had an agent, which was fine. And Andrew sat in the open, and actually buyer's dad wanted to come, and they extended the open, and Andrew accommodated everything. And that buyer they got the house, and it ended up in multiples, but that buyer did end up getting the house because of the open.
Do open house work? Yes, they do. Right? Those are the 5 strategies or 5 things you don't want to do and how you remedy them. Click the link below for our marketing strategy booklet that we go over with each one and every one of our sellers of exactly what to do when listing your property.